Good afternoon. Welcome to Lewis and Clark Middle School and the March 27 board meeting for the Yakima School District. Couple of announcements before we jump into the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, somehow that disappeared. Here we go. We offer live streaming options for this meeting. You can find the link on our webpage under Find It Fast or going directly to the page on board meetings. There are two options today for public comment. The first option is for comment on agenda items only, and the second option towards the end of the meeting is for any other topic. There are two things to sign if you would like to speak today. There's a sign-in form itself and a copy of the guidelines for presenting. If you are interested in past meetings, you can find the link on our webpage to the YSD YouTube channel to view past meetings that were recorded and posted there. Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett?
Here.
Director Rice?
Here.
President Walker?
Present.
And Vice President Villanueva and Director Raymond Navarro Jr. are excused.
And now we have, I believe we have a student from Lewis and Clark Middle School that will present us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Principal, would you like to introduce our student for that, please?
Okay. I am Denise from Lewis and Clark. I'll be doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand in for the Pledge of Allegiance. Which is that one. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The character education word of the month for March is grace. Grace is the quality of or state of being considerate or thoughtful, the disposition to or an act or instance of kindness, courtesy, or clemency.
Thank you so much. And we'd like to get the names of our two presenters this afternoon. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
My name is Aliana Villanueva.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Denise Hernandez.
Denise, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And sometimes our board members like to say a word or two, or ask you a question or two. If you feel put on the spot, you don't have to answer the question. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think I saw at least one of you when we came in the door, right?
Yeah.
It's- I told somebody in here that I feel like I'm coming home because both of my kids went to Lewis and Clark. And I wondered if there were still any teachers here that I knew. And I walked in and there's Mr. Koenig, who's probably nearing retirement by now.
Man, I wish.
Thank you for presenting to us this afternoon. You did very well with the pledge and with the words of the month. And could you share with us what grades you're in, please?
I am in 8th grade. I'm ASB president.
Okay. And Eliana,
I am in 7th grade.
you're in 7th grade? What's your favorite subject?
Probably ELA.
ELA, good. Denise, what's your favorite subject? She was thinking.
I'd say science.
Art?
Science.
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 Nice. We need more scientists. I hope you consider to work that your magic in science when you get to high school. Do you know which high school you want to go to?
Davis.
Davis?
Yeah.
Go Pirates, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for being here today. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you to all you guys.
I don't have any questions necessarily, but I want to say thank you and a thank you to all the students. The welcoming committee here is strong. This is probably the strongest welcoming committee we've seen at an offsite board meeting so far in the last year or so. So thank you all very much and well done. Thank you for your work today. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank you for being here today and joining us. I won't put you on the spot with any questions, but I just hope to say that as long as you're here, I hope you're getting enough out of education that you will consider becoming teachers in our system. And we certainly need English and science teachers. So maybe that's in your future, maybe not, but consider it for the long term. Thanks again for being here. And by the way, students that are here, I don't know what your obligation is to school, but that the board does not expect you to have to stay through an entire board meeting. So if you have homework to do or responsibilities at home, we fully understand. We don't expect you to stay through an entire meeting. So that's between you and your advisor. Thank you so much. And now we have the land acknowledgement.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Cliticat, and Yakima counties.
Today we honor the Native people who are tied to the land through history, legends, and cultures.
We acknowledge their descendants who live in the world today.
We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial.
An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture.
It also honors the truth.
As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Thank you, Yakima students. Next on our agenda, we'll be blessed with the Lewis and Clark Middle School presentation. Dr. Green, would you like to introduce our principal and her staff?
Superintendent Green.
Oh, I'm jumped ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry. I was so excited to hear from Lewis and Clark. We have one thing to do just before that, and Director Beckett has a proclamation for today.
Thank you, President Walker. This is a proclamation for National Assistant Principals Week. Whereas assistant principals are educational visionaries entrusted with the education and care of young students, a most valuable resource. And whereas assistant principals work cohesively with their leadership and teaching teams to develop and maintain high standards for education. And whereas assistant principals show leadership, which is an important role that students can emulate. And whereas assistant principals are called upon to do various tasks to discipline, coach, teach, encourage, enlighten, engage, counsel, and empower others. And whereas the celebration of National Assistant Principals Week would honor P through 12 assistant principals and recognize the importance of school leadership in ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education. Now, therefore, the Board of Directors hereby declares our appreciation to the assistant principals of the Yakima School District and proclaims the week of April 3 through 7, 2023 to be National Assistant Principals Week. And we urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of assistant principals and preparing today's students for tomorrow's world. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Beckett. And now we will hear from Lewis and Clark.
Thank you, President Walker, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce our team here at Lewis and Clark. We're very blessed. It's very fortunate to have such a strong team. Very infrequently do you have an entirely new team come into a building and have such an impact as what we've seen here at Lewis and Clark. And we're thankful for the leadership of our principal and our assistant principals here. I think we've just heard the jobs that an assistant principal is responsible for, many of the responsibilities, and of course they grow for the principal in that accountability piece also. And this team has just done a phenomenal job in their first year here together. It's my pleasure to introduce our principal, Vicki Fogelson, and her assistant principals, Gabe Stotts and Cass Miller. I'll turn the time over to Vicki.
Thank you. So we want to start by first welcoming Superintendent Green and members of the board. We're excited to have you visit Lewis and Clark Middle School. I am Vicki Fogelson, principal of Lewis and Clark Middle School, and I would like to introduce my leadership team to you. I have an incredible team, beginning with Gabriel Stotts, assistant principal, Cecilia Miller, assistant principal, Adam Koenig, instructional facilitator, and Rebecca Canham, our academic specialist. Our mission at Lewis and Clark Middle School is leaders, learners, and legends, and our vision is creating confident communities. This is new to our staff and students this year. Our ILT worked on this in August, and it was chosen to develop a strong sense of pride in our school. And the L from leaders, learners, and legends, and the C from creating confident communities represents the L and C in Lewis and Clark Middle School. Our instructional leadership team for Lewis and Clark Middle School is made up of administrative representation, instructional coaches, counselors, teacher leaders, and various grade bands and content areas, including representatives from special education and English language learning. As you're all aware, this is the district's strategic plan for the 2020 to 2026 school year. Our school improvement plan is aligned with the district strategic plan. Specifically, our school is focused on Goal 2, empowering, connecting, and supporting and engaging students in our school community, and Goal 3, equitable opportunity to achieve core mastery and core thinking. To achieve high-quality teaching and learning with an emphasis on professional learning communities. All of these work together to increase student learning.
The above demographics represent our school's makeup as reported on the OSPI state report card. In order to get a full picture of what our students needed, we began looking at data in order to write our strategic learning plan. We used the plan, do, study, adjust strategy for this process. Our cycle for continuous improvement begins with a comprehensive needs assessment. We review a variety of data sources, including demographics, state and federal assessments, including Washington School Improvement Framework data, district screeners and other assessments, behavioral data, CEE data, and other progress monitoring measures. The above state assessment data is based on the last spring test administration results and the 2018-2019 spring test. Every spring, students in specific grades are assessed in math, English language arts, and science. Student performance in each subject is scored as a level 1, 2, 3, or 4. Level 3 and 4 scores mean that students demonstrate the skills expected for that grade. Level 3 and 4 scores are counted as meeting standard in that subject area. Level 1 and 2 scores are counted as not meeting standard in that subject area.
All right, so initially released in March of 2018 and updated in April of 2019, the Washington School Improvement Framework identifies how schools can improve the education of all students. The framework combines as many as 9 indicators, such as graduation rates, attendance, and proficiency on state tests in math and English language arts, into a 1 to 10 score. The school's score then determines the state supports for the school to improve. Displayed above are the rates of each of the ESSA measures, with a color correspondence on the 1 to 10 score given for that measure. If the rate is white or blank, that means that either the measure isn't relevant for the grade span of the school, the student group was too small to report publicly, or is the ELP measure, which is only reported to the all students group. The above readiness for change indicators represent combined survey items from the CEE Educational Effectiveness Survey. These indicators demonstrate a staff's readiness and willingness to change. The more positive the beliefs and perceptions of the staff are about these indicators, the more efficiently change will happen. So large gaps in the I versus they indicators demonstrate differences in opinions and perceptions and may sort of represent a lack of trust among staff. The threshold for concern is 20% at elementary and 25% at the secondary rate. Change in gap data is included to determine improvement over time, so narrowing the gap is good. As our data indicates, we are well below the 25% threshold for concern, so this shows that our staff indicates a willingness for change. After analyzing the different data points, our instructional leadership team met to write the 3-year goals for improvement. Because we're in school improvement, our planning included coordinating with representatives from the Office of System and School Improvement, or OSSI. We continue to meet with these representatives to monitor progress towards our goals. Our first goal is utilizing PLC culture to improve student achievement in specific content areas, and this is in support of one of our district levers. Our next 2 goals, which are placement of inclusionary practices for students with disabilities and English language proficiency, were written based on the Plan, Do, Study, Adjust cycle to address the Washington School Improvement Framework data.
At Lewis and Clark Middle School, we are fully committed to the first key lever of developing an effective professional learning community. As we reflected on the past practices of our teams, we found we were doing mostly PLC light and seemed to be having little impact on student learning, even though we were spending considerable amounts of time teaming. Our ILT attended the Solution Tree PLC training last summer and came back very enthused, but also humbled by the work that we knew was ahead. We realized that we needed to go slow in order to go fast, in order to lay a solid foundation, breaking down our old teaming habits while at the same time building up our new PLC so that we truly have a positive and measurable impact on student learning. The 4 pillars became our singular focus and the foundation of everything we do. I would like to take the opportunity to thank our new principal, Vicki Fogelson, for her tremendous leadership in helping our LC family truly embrace becoming a professional learning community. When Vicki first began as our new principal, she asked each staff member 2 questions. She said, without looking, what is the mission of our school and what is the vision of our school? Our staff responded honestly. Most had no idea and were not able to articulate either answer. From her extensive experience of working with multiple schools on developing effective PLCs, she knew we all needed to know why we existed and what we must become in order to accomplish our purpose. She knew we could not move forward without this foundation. Under her leadership, our instructional leadership team met to address these first 2 pillars of creating a PLC culture and to create a new mission and a new vision for our school. This new mission and vision were quickly adopted by our entire staff and has given us clarity as to why we exist. Our mission is for our students to become leaders, learners, and legends. Our vision for the future is creating confident communities. Here are just a few of our staff and our students explaining their role in the mission and vision of our school. Play that video.
There it is. I am part of an elite team, dedicated to the arduous task of breaking the cycle of poverty for children and their families.
All right, what is our mission here at Lewis and Clark?
Here at Lewis and Clark, we try to foster leaders, learners, and legends.
And how do you support our mission?
We try to give these kiddos skills so they can try to fulfill those roles, and we try to definitely foster that in the community.
Thank you. What is our mission here at Lewis and Clark?
Our mission is to create leaders, learners, and legends.
And how do you support our mission?
I support the students by assisting other classes, specifically the monolingual students.
Awesome, thank you. So what is our mission here at Lewis and Clark?
To create leaders, learners, and legends.
And how do you support our mission?
Just offering my support for every student. I work with special ed kids, and my goal for them is to eventually be independent and be able to live a good quality life.
All right, thank you. All right, what is our mission at LC?
Our mission is to help our students become leaders, learners, and legends.
And how do you support our mission?
The library supports the mission by providing support and resources to our teachers and encouraging lifelong readers of our students by providing excellent reading materials of all sorts.
Thank you. What is the mission of our school?
Leaders, learners, legends.
Oh, very nice. And how do you support our mission?
We provide nutritional,
healthy, fresh,
good, so our students can become leaders, learners, and legends.
Awesome. What is our mission here at LC?
Our mission statement here at LC is leaders, learners, and legends.
And how do you support our mission?
The way that I support our mission is that I try to stick to my personal philosophy on a daily basis, which is not only coming to work with an optimistic but an empathetic personality and attitude, so I can support and help not only our student body but our staff as well in any way I can.
Awesome, thank you. What is the mission of our school?
Leaders, learners, legends.
And how do you support our mission?
I support our mission because I'm part of this security and safety team, and I support it by keeping the school safe for the students and staff. And not only that, I'm trying to also become a mentor. That way they complete the mission, which is, again, learners, leaders, legends.
Hi, my name is Pat Rodriguez. I'm the night lead custodian here at Lewis and Clark Middle School. Myself and my team are dedicated to disinfecting your building so you show up first thing in the morning to a clean, safe learning environment.
All right, what is our mission at Lewis and Clark?
Leaders, learners, and legends.
All right, and what does it mean to be a learner?
Stay on track and don't pay attention.
Thank you. All right, what is the mission of our school?
Leaders, learners, and legends.
And what does it mean to you to be a leader?
To lead and not follow.
And what does that look like at school?
To make your own choices and not following others.
Awesome, thank you. What is the mission of our school?
Leaders, learners, and legends.
And what does it mean to be a leader?
Leaders provide guidance, inspiration, and motivation to help others achieve their goals.
Awesome, thank you. All right, what is the mission of our school?
The mission of our school is leaders, learners, and legends.
Awesome, and what does it mean to be legendary?
To be legendary means to try to become the greatest.
Awesome, thank you. All right, what is the mission of our school?
Líderes, personas que aprenden leyendas.
All right, perfect. And what does it mean to be a leader?
Ayudar a otra gente.
All right, thank you so much. All right, what is the mission of our school?
The mission of our school is to create confident communities and to be leaders. My idea of a leader is leading people in the right direction so they make good decisions.
Awesome.
When you come to Lewis and Clark Middle School, you'll notice right away our mission is posted throughout the building, reminding staff, students, and informing the community of the mission we strive to accomplish here at Lewis and Clark.
In order to build a PLC culture, we knew we needed to implement an intentional action plan to address the two remaining pillars and lay the solid foundation of changing our system. We began looking at all of the opportunities for professional development within the contracted workday. This plan would need to be implemented throughout the year, mostly on early release Mondays. We decided to commit all building-directed Mondays to a book study of learning by doing. If we were truly going to make a change, we needed to learn together and learn what PLC right looks like and sounds like. All district-directed Mondays are focused on incorporating leading educator partnerships into our PLC goals. All remaining Mondays, which are set aside for our content teaming, are focused on the 4 critical questions of the PLC process. They are, what do we want students to learn? How will we know they are learning it? How will we respond when they did not learn it? And how will we respond when they already know? We created a common meeting place where we meet for all teaming Mondays. Our PLTs meet together here in the library to show we are all a part of our LC PLC. This also provides teams with the opportunity to receive support and coaching. We created a common PLT meeting template in order to focus our team's work on the 4 questions of the PLC. We also worked together as a whole staff over many months to establish our values and answer the question under pillar number 3, how must we behave to achieve our vision? These became our collective commitments of our LC PLC. Let me read them to you. The first one is, in order to ensure all students learn at high levels, we will use essential standards to provide students with a guaranteed and viable curriculum. The second, in order to ensure each student has learned at high levels, we will use periodic, effective, formative assessments using different modalities to generate data that can be shared across content areas for future planning. The third, if a student is experiencing difficulty in learning, we will ask them questions to understand where they are struggling, try other ways to teach them, multiple strategies, accommodate their learning types, and provide extra scaffolding, tools, tutoring, para-support, student helpers, etc. The fourth, to extend and enrich for students demonstrating proficiency, we will look for opportunities in current assignments and projects to extend learning at all levels. And our last one is we will provide families with the information they need to monitor and support the learning of their students. You can see up here in the front, this is signed by our staff. They created these and they signed them as their commitment. And it's hung in this place as a constant reminder of our commitments to each other and to our students. Finally, we knew we needed regular reflection of our progress. We ask our teams, are we learning by doing? Or are we just doing the same things over and over again? We also have our teams analyze the 7 stages of collaboration in order to help us move from what Richard DeFore terms collaboration to collaboration, co-laboring on the right work. Here is an example of some of our collective reflection where each of our teams reflected on their progress on each of the 4 pillars of our PLC. We use this regular reflection to inform our ILT, our guiding coalition, of our next steps. So what are our next steps? Well, as we have shared, the first 3 pillars, the mission, the vision, and the values, are well underway. Our plan is to focus on the last pillar, goals, for the remainder of the year. Our guiding coalition is currently planning our next building directed Monday, where we are focusing on teaching our teams how to create a unit of study that will help them create goals, unpack the standards into learning targets, identify vocabulary, create actions and common formative assessments in order to answer the question of Pillar 4, which is how will we mark our progress? Our goal is not just to give an example or do this one time, but to create systems for our PLC so that we can use over and over again as we do inquiry cycles throughout the years to come. These systems will help us to be able to continually answer the 4 critical questions of a PLC and move our students forward in their learning. We plan to better utilize all of the tremendous PLC resources in the Yakima School District Professional Learning Community Hub with our teachers. And in addition to our work this year of laying a solid foundation, we have 26 teachers registered for the Solution Tree Conference this summer. This will give us new inspiration and vision to our teachers who have never attended and help us maintain our momentum moving into the 2023-2024 school year. Thank you.
In alignment with the district strategic goal 2, empowering, connecting, supporting, and engaging students in our school community, our building has implemented several new systems and initiatives. These include the Restore and Return, or R&R room, updating our tardy policy, implementing SmartPass, and updating and reworking our discipline flowchart and reporting system. One behavior initiative we want to especially highlight is SmartPass. As the year progressed, we noticed many of our behavior issues were occurring during the unstructured time of students coming and going from classes. We began piloting SmartPass to address these issues. We'll watch a short video to learn about this system.
Welcome to SmartPass. SmartPass is a digital hall system that is easy to use and extremely powerful. It is revolutionizing the way schools operate. Let's take a look. Students and teachers can create passes from any device in a matter of seconds. This greatly increases student accountability and safety. For example, students don't select a generic restroom, they select the exact restroom that is closest to their class. This reduces the number of group gatherings for inappropriate activities like vaping. Managing hall traffic is a breeze with the Hall Monitor view by SmartPass, where teachers can see all active passes, including information on where students are coming from and where they're heading, and teachers are able to report students traveling without a pass. This increases academic learning time for students by deterring excessive signouts. In an emergency, such as a lockdown, SmartPass enables students in transit to report their new location if they join a different teacher's classroom to find safety. This helps administrators and first responders pinpoint students with unknown or unsafe locations to provide immediate support. SmartPass also provides administrators with a dashboard to display key metrics and analytics for enhanced school situational awareness. It also allows administrators and parents to monitor an individual student's activity both live or via a summary report.
SmartPass reduces bathroom issues and wasted time in the halls. It also keeps students accountable for where they should be at all times. Lewis and Clark began piloting SmartPass at the end of January. This chart shows the monthly bathroom incidents throughout the year. These are referrals coded as having happened in the bathroom. In January, we had 6, our highest month of the year. And in February, just after we started using SmartPass, we had no bathroom incidents. Along with this concrete shift in incidents, we have received a lot of positive feedback from teachers regarding the system.
Thank you for your hard working and dedication to making Yakima Public Schools a great place for all students to learn.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, school board!
Thank you for making Yakima Schools a great place for all students to learn.
Thank you, school board! Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you for your great presentation today. I want to congratulate you on kind of taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and addressing that great big pile of stuff in the middle of the room that we all have to deal with when we're talking about student achievement. As you're aware, and as we have been aware for some time, Lewis and Clark has just been kind of bumping along, and not bumping along at a high level necessarily. So I appreciate your focus on making sure that our students at Lewis and Clark get the education that they need. And I have a question actually about the SmartPass.
Sure.
Are you the only middle school in Yakima that's using it?
We are the only one using it at this time.
Are the other middle schools aware of it?
They are. I actually heard that Washington was very interested in adding it.
It seems like, especially for middle school kids, a really good idea. That they don't get distracted and end up somewhere where they're not supposed to be or doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. So thank you for bringing that to us. Have you had experience with that in the past?
Yes, ma'am, I have. This is year 26 in middle school for me, so I've had a lot of
Oh,
experience.
God bless you.
Yeah.
There's a special place in heaven for teachers who love middle school kids.
I do. Yeah.
There's a special place
No
for you.
place else I'd rather be.
Thank you for being here and welcome to the district.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank you for your presentation today. And having spent a number of years as a middle school counselor, I know that behavior is often one of the biggest challenges in middle school. And I love the energy of kids at this age too. I was curious about all your behavior initiatives. How are the kids responding? Are they kind of taking to, when you bring in a new system, there's always a an adaptation curve. So how are the kids doing with it?
The kids are responding very well. We've seen quite a downward turn in our behavior that's happening in our building. Actually, the day that we implemented SmartPass, the kids knew that it was coming. I think when I presented that it was coming, that and the tardy policy shifting, I heard the kids were saying, because I presented it to all the kids, like via Zoom or via Google Meet. And one of the kids looked at the teacher and said, "Why is she doing this?" And because she's smarter than an average middle school kid. But immediately after that first day, the first incident happened, we immediately responded, we caught it. And the eighth graders just pooled in the hallway and it was just a buzz. They caught him, they caught him, they caught him. I was immediately in the middle of it. And it's like they know that we know now, like we now have a system in place, and those things that happened before just can no longer happen. And so there's systems in place. They know they're there. They're going to push, but they know that we have an incredible team here that support each other, and they're responding to that. And now I even see that I see a shift where kids are bringing us that information. That's happened even in the last month or so because the kids want to be safe. Kids like predictability in middle school, and so we're starting to see that shift where that's starting to happen. You know that. So, yep.
Great, thanks again.
You're
And
very
on
welcome.
the academic side, I'll be curious to see how the fuller implementation of PLCs works in terms of getting that academic movement onward and upward for our kids.
It's coming.
So, yeah.
We have plans.
Yeah. Thanks again for
Yep.
all the hard work you do here and for all the staff here.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on. We have items of board interest, members of the board. Do we have anything from them? Oh. Did you want to add anything, Dr. Green? Okay. Thanks so much. Anything from members of the board? Okay, I have a couple of items. We had discussed and didn't reach any conclusions in one of our last meetings about possibly canceling the Monday, May 8th board meeting. And as we're working on what's coming up on board meetings, we're looking at Monday, April 10th. And you're aware there are no meetings in the week of April 3rd because of spring break. But even on April 10th, we have one progress monitoring policy, a policy number 2.2, working environment of staff, and policy 2.4, financial planning. And I'm suggesting that we move those to May 1st. Those are the only items on the agenda for April 10th. That means we would be monitoring policies 2.0 through policies 2.4 on May 1st. Is there a motion to cancel the scheduled April 10 board meeting and move the policy monitoring scheduled for that date to the May 1st board meeting? It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I have a question before we do that.
Sure.
That isn't on the agenda as an action item. It's only, you're bringing it up under items of board interest.
Right, okay.
And I don't mean to be picky, but we don't want to start going down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
We could just as well do it next week once it's on the agenda as an action item.
I'd like to amend my motion for next available board.
Okay, so we can put it, since there is an action. Yeah. It won't be until April 10th. So we would be having a meeting on April 10th to cancel the April 10th meeting.
Yeah, I think, if we're thinking in terms of parliamentary procedure.
Is your mic on?
It is now, thank you. In terms of parliamentary procedure, if we're talking about the schedule, I don't know any reason why the president couldn't just simply cancel the meeting. I don't know if it really requires action.
It doesn't require a motion.
But, just for the sake of the conversation, I think it's smart to have the motion and the three of us discuss it and have everyone on the same page. I'm not a parliamentarian, but I think that's certainly within the president's purview to set the agenda.
Yeah, I'm not obviously not a parliamentarian either. I think we went to the idea of a motion because I didn't just want to make an arbitrary decision. But on the other hand, it makes no sense to have a meeting, schedule a meeting, have all the people at a meeting with only one item on the agenda. So,
You can make that decision.
okay, then I think I will make an executive decision and we will just go ahead and cancel that meeting.
Sounds good.
Now, the other item that comes up, we talked about the May 8th meeting without reaching a conclusion. We can table discussion on that. We can have that discussion on April 10th regarding the May 8th meeting, I think. Pardon? Well, we're not April 10th. I mean, April 17th. Sorry. 18th, which would be the business meeting. So we could discuss that during, at that time, but it's the same issue.
Mhm.
We currently have no agenda for May 8th. So it makes sense to cancel that meeting unless we have one, but we can discuss that on April 17th. Okay? That's the only thing I had at this point. Well, I do have one other thing. I think it affects you and me and Raymond is, if we intend to, we need to make notice that I think filing for offices is May 1st. First week in May. So if we plan on running again or being on the board again, we need to file for election. So just be aware that time moves fast. So keep that in your thoughts. Okay.
And I think on that similar note with PDC, the RF ones are due by the
Yes.
middle of
April, same time I think taxes are due. Yeah. So the F1s are due. I get reminders frequently from PDC. I'm assuming you do too. Okay. Okay, I have no other things for members of the board. Superintendent Green. They already declined. Yeah, you missed that part.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. I don't have anything extensive on the agenda for today, except just to share that I do continue to visit buildings, and those visitations are open. I was joined by Director Beckett at one of the locations recently, and if you remember thinking back to our board retreat, the preeminent goal that came forward was to improve the Yakima School District monitoring system of board adopted goals. And part of that entails being in locations where things can be monitored. And part of that, I know, is a big interest of that has been Director Beckett's desire to know what is happening in our buildings and with the community. Similarly with President Walker, and we saw that last week on Monday with Director Rice at the Student Voice meeting that we had at Eisenhower. So I do feel like more of those opportunities are becoming available for the board, which is fantastic as a way of truly monitoring and understanding what is happening. And then that can lead to more rich conversations here at these meetings, provided we have the space to do so. So I mention that because at that board retreat, again, reminding the board that in a 5-0 vote with agree or strongly agree, it was made aware or present that the monitoring or the adapting to these reports would go to the superintendent and my team in putting together ways to make sure that that monitoring can happen and be more effective. One of the things that I just want to bring attention to the board about is the opportunity that exists in addressing the policy governance monitoring reports. So today you will see we have policy 0550, which was actually presented at that board retreat. So a way of creating some of that space, if you go to policy 1000.3.1, which is governing style, that does dictate for the board that boards, quote, do their homework and ask questions, review all pertinent materials before meetings, and ask questions if they do not understand an issue. And I simply flag that for the board because if we do upload that information, which does happen every single week, and the time is taken to become familiar with the reports that are then published, We would love to be able to use that monitoring report time to answer questions and not necessarily go extensively into, for example, today would be a 17-page document that I think in past years would have most likely been read for the record, so to speak, but that record does exist in our board decks, in our board docs, is accessible to the public. So when we do get to that point, just be aware that that is a suggestion that we had moving forward and would like to test out today. So aside from that, nothing more to update other than just to let you know that we do take that seriously, that charge seriously, to provide those opportunities to continue to monitor and then have more rich conversation, which has thus far eluded us due to length of meetings and spending some time in areas that may not be as rich for the board members. So thank you for that charge, and we'll continue to keep you apprised.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Okay, this is the first opportunity for comments from the public on agenda items. Do we have any volunteers today?
None at this time.
Moving on, we have one approval today, Resolution 05.22.23 regarding Juul Labs Incorporated, which is about vaping litigation. Mr. No.
Thank you. Today, we're asking the board to approve a settlement with the defendant, Juul Labs Incorporated, and authorizing President Walker to sign documents that would effectuate the settlement. As you know, Juul Labs produces the Juul vaping devices, and they did things that would market and attract youth, and it resulted in addiction of a lot of youth and a lot of problems for school districts dealing with those effects from the addiction from those devices. So there was a lawsuit involving many districts. The attorneys that represent the districts have reached a resolution that they strongly recommend that we adopt. Right now, it looks like we're going to get a gross amount of, I don't remember off the top of my head, it's $405,584.81. From that gross amount, they will take out the attorney's liens, attorney's fees, case costs, and court-ordered common benefit expense assessment. Those are still things that have to be approved by the court, so we don't know what the actual net amount of the recovery will be. When we get the money, we can use it for any purpose the board desires. So that's a benefit to the board. It could be used directly to address issues associated with Juul devices, or it could be used for any other purpose. There's also another bonus payment fund that could be as much as 8.1% of the gross settlement amount too, that we might be entitled to in the future. There are a list of other defendants that aren't being released by this settlement. Whether we ever recover from those other defendants is questionable, but we still have an active litigation against the other defendants, which are listed in your action letter. So we're recommending approval of the settlement and authorizing President Walker to sign the documents. Thank you.
I have a motion. I have a motion that the board approves settlement with Juul Labs and authorizes President Walker to sign documents to effectuate the settlement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the settlement agreement with Juul Labs. Just a note of discussion here. It's been reported that by our middle school staff that probably 40 to 50% of our students are vaping at middle school level. So it's clearly a serious issue, and I think this is an opportunity to have some funds to do some important preventive work with our students and their families. So again, I'm pleased with that. So any other discussion or questions about that? Do you want to call the roll, please? One comment.
My only comment would be that if there's any media outlet there who would want that exact number, that they reach out to the district and we'll confirm the actual percentage. So that would be good to do.
Don't quote me on the exact percentage. That's a secondhand quote from some staff.
Director Beckett,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
President Walker,
Aye.
motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. And now we've arrived at a second opportunity for public comment. Are there any takers?
And not at this time.
Okay. Moving on to policy governance, monitoring reports. And we have a review of policy 0550 that Mr. Scambaluri presented to us during our retreat. And again, in accordance with our goal of streamlining meetings somewhat, we're not going to ask you to go through the revisions word by word by word. We just kind of highlight the revisions for us and kind of just do a summary. And we can do some reading on our own.
There were some direct changes made to some of the wording and some information added from requests from the board, and then quite a few hyperlinks if you go to the digital version. Probably about 30 or 40 hyperlinks that will link you out to what it's actually referencing within the policy. So those were the main, there were no major adjustments. There's mostly just additional information added when asked from the board. And then the hyperlinks to actually be able to see the news articles and the resources and the newsletters and videos that are referenced within the policy.
Are there any questions from the board?
I appreciate the hyperlinks. It's helpful, really helpful to have all of that background information, not only for board members, but also for the community.
Yeah.
To know that if they have questions and where did that information come from and so forth, all they have to do is refer to this monitoring report and click the appropriate link, and there they are. It's right there.
Yeah, and I will say for like some of the migrant services and the local nonprofits that support our district, those links will actually take you to that support. So for families and students, that can be a really good resource. And yeah, I would love to see that across other policies. And then also just one more point of reference at the end of some of the sections is a bullet point that's kind of a catch-all for future hopes of what this report can be and what should be monitored. So just something to think of also. If there are things that we want to add to this, we can throw it into that section of a future report should include. So just one more thing to highlight for the updates.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns from the board?
A lot of information in here. Thank you, Marcello.
Yes, thank you
We
very.
don't have enough to read.
Yeah, but thank you for a very thorough report. If there are no other questions or concerns, do we have any questions or concerns to be addressed by the superintendent or designee? Okay. In that case, the Survey Monkey will go out this week and we'll respond to will it be due on Friday? Survey Monkey on this? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so you can read the report at your leisure. You have a night of insomnia and you need something to great detail to read. Okay, moving on. We have two board rating reports. Number 1000.3.8, cost of governance. A review of the results showed that there was 100% agreement and compliance with that policy. There were no comments or questions. And again, with 1000.3.9, there was 100% agreement from the board that we're in full compliance with that policy. There were no questions or comments. So I think we can do those as one motion. So do I hear a motion to approve policies 1000.3.8 and 1000.3.9?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve board rating reports 1000.3.8 and 3.9. Would you call the roll, please, Barb?
Director Beckett,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr. says aye on text. He's in now.
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, he's paying attention.
Okay.
I didn't want to interrupt in the middle of the presentation, but he is voting as well now.
Glad you're with us, Director Navarro.
Yes. And President Walker.
Aye,
Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. There is a need for executive session today. There are two items for executive session, I believe. One from our Human Resources Director and one for evaluation of a district employee.
That's correct. One is evaluation of a public employee for 30 minutes. The other is current or pending litigation with legal counsel, and that's for 15 minutes.
And I believe we're adjourned to, I think there's a conference.
You need a motion.
Okay. Well, I was just going to clear that where we're going before we do the motion.
Where are we going?
I think we're going to the conference room. Right here. It's just right off the library. So, okay, so now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to, not adjourn, but to move to executive session.
I move that we move to an executive session for total of 45 minutes. Ish.
Yes. Yes.
15 minutes for current or pending litigation and 30 minutes for performance of a public employee.
Yes.
Second.
We moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay.
Is Raymond going to be able
Is
to
there a
be
way
with
to have
us?
Raymond attend?
He's texting me right now, so he'll let me know.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll
so
take
I'll
it.
take the roll.
So all in favor?
Yes,
All
yes,
in favor?
he is going to be in the executive session.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. We're back in session. Do I hear a motion to approve the evaluation letter for the superintendent with a couple minor edits before we sign it?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the superintendent evaluation letter. Any further discussion? Okay, would you call the roll, please, Barb? And Raymond is on the computer. Oh, we just.
Director Beckett,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Okay, second item, and congratulations. You'll get presented with the document after you finally have one. And then we have a couple minor edits on before we'll clean up with Barb. And then Barb, you can do the auto signature on those for us. And Graciela has an electronic copy. Okay, any other items of business for today's meeting? Okay, thanks so much for your attendance and participation. Meeting adjourned.